Alrighty. So I didn't take any trades today. I wasn't really paying too much attention to what was going on in the markets, to be completely honest. I was just busy with some other stuff today, and it's also a US bank holiday, if I'm not mistaken. So let's just go over pound USD. So 4 hour, you can see that obviously to trade this pro trend, we would be looking to trade this along with the sell side in mind. Now let's just jump down into the 15 and talk about a few different things that potentially could have happened for us. Now, one of the things, yeah, I'm just kind of looking at in here is that like we didn't actually see a chalk. Obviously, we're reacting to this demand, which is a good place to kind of start looking, but you can just kind of see what's happening here, right? Like we're building and building and building and building liquidity by the minute. So I think that reasonably sells are going to be favorable given the fact that we have so much liquidity to target. And we've already kind of taken from the market. It looks like we're interacting with this flip zone. So you could have possibly gotten up here, order flow really it is. So because we haven't chalked, it would appear as if we were still pro order flow. And I would say that reasonably we are still pro order flow. Now, the only thing is that, we have bullish order flow within a structural leg, which is obviously the pullback phase. So yeah, for me, like personally, I would look at sort of like this region up here, this maybe refined sort of POI. You could potentially refine this down to the wick. Supply, so you got your 15 supply. You could have this entire range as your supply zone. You could take this entire area like this, depending on how you sort of want to do things. I think what I would likely do is have this entire range mapped out, just to kind of have a little bit of a better idea. So you can see that we just to say tap in, very poor delivery away from it. We get the initial tap, and then obviously what we want to see is that sort of get swept at some point, right? So once we get the sweep, we could maybe possibly look at getting alongside some higher time frame sells with that same intention. Let's have a quick peek at what is happening here. So I think there's something refined over to the left-hand side, but ultimately your 1 minute change of character sort of happens at this level, right? That's really like, I mean, we could look at this first demand failure here, but to get that order flow realignment properly, we would want to see ideally this kind of let go, which creates this flip zone right here. So I'd be looking to kind of confirm this zone by looking in this range right here, and essentially, yeah, looking across for order flow realignment on our lower timeframes, and potentially have gotten involved in something like this to then take this down to the downside. So this just happened. Again, I didn't take anything, just given the fact that we're obviously with the bank holiday today in the States. And yeah, honestly, I just had a bunch of other stuff to do today where I wasn't available to trade at my best. So yeah, I just didn't bother. So that would have been possibly one trade idea. Like I said, coming into kind of like this flip zone right here. Ideally, we got that first tap in. We would probably want to see this get swept first, and then potentially start looking for something to build along the side of this, and then come down into here, right? Because more than likely we're going to see something get hung up here, and ideally we're going to want to see some form of a reaction to this to potentially take liquidity into our POI, and then be able to have something to target a little bit later on. So that's kind of what I'm standing by waiting for. On GU right this second. EU, very similar, bullish order flow kind of happening right here. What are we reacting to right now? We kind of got like this wick. Okay, nothing really that specific. I would say that, yeah, we've kind of liquidated this now. We've had our inducement. What do we see? We're not like reacting to anything super specific to the left-hand side, which isn't like the most concerning thing in the world. But ideally, if you were to look at sort of like this region, like this is kind of the area that's of interest to me that rests above liquidity. So I would like to see what happens if and when we kind of come up to here. And then furthermore, we could even potentially come a lot higher into the flip zone as well as the extreme. So I'm not entirely sold on anything right now. Like, we haven't really broken bullish order flow that much. We've had a wick break, but I think that this high is going to get ran more than likely. And then it's how we sort of start acting around these specific areas that we're going to be able to get involved with potentially a higher time frame sell for some half decent R. So that's what I'm waiting for on EU. So just kind of watch how things develop. You don't need to be the first one involved. You need to understand what needs to happen. Ideally, we get that sweep, then come back into the range, and then possibly come down after mitigating something like this to be able to have that liquidity to sort of target. So tell you right now, more often than not, you're going to take several different losses in here, trying to catch this top. So just let order flow realign on the 15 to be able to kind of confirm what we're looking for. Looking in here, again, you could, there's no issue. Personally, I'm looking at like the demand wick that's right here. This pushes up, snaps through. It's above liquidity, right? Like, ideally, we're going to want to induce this little level right here, right? So until we break this level into the POI, really, there's not going to be a setup for me, right? That's the bare minimum. And then it's all about how we react to it. Furthermore, we could end up breaking right through this and creating a new high as well, which would open up different possibilities as well. So as it stands right now, I'm just going to be standing by, kind of waiting to see what ends up happening as we develop into this POI. But the way that it's developing right now is kind of nice because we kind of have that take and target. So if we see something along the lines of a sweep, a break, and then come back into maybe a flip, this would be a really, really nice setup to take into weak areas, and furthermore, taking out these levels down here. So yeah, that's it for this. And then gold, what are we looking at on gold? Let's go to the 4 hour. Yeah, so we kind of come back up into this buy to sell region. Let's go down to the 15. Yeah, so we tapped into the buy to sell, order flow has shifted, come back up, realigned, created liquidity, boom. Ideally, with something like this, what we're going to want to see to be able to get into something half decent is some form of a take on liquidity, whether it be a breakdown here, push back up, come into unmitigated, induce all of these levels right here, and then drop into new printed liquidity down here. That would be reasonable. But as it stands right now, until that actually breaks through a liquid region to be able to grab all of this to fuel the move, there's nothing I'm really interested in taking here. So yeah, that's it for today. Like I said, there's really no trade recap, just because in my opinion, there was nothing super clear that set up. It's kind of like a rangy, sort of choppy price action from last night carrying over into today. And that's more than likely due to the fact that there was a bank holiday in the United States today for the duration of the day as well. So yeah, going into tomorrow, like I said, I'm going to be doing a daily look ahead, providing some POIs that I'm looking to kind of tinker with tomorrow if and when they obviously get hit. Excuse me. Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, so once that happens, and if we get into our ranges where we're sort of looking for criteria to get met, then we can start executing based off of that. But until I see some form of a liquidation on a medium time frame, I'm really not that interested, because I would like to see, like I said, just a grab on something to get us up into a region where we've cleared something out to then be able to target what we've just mitigated. So any questions about that specifically, guys? Drop a 1 if you are okay with everything we just talked about, and a 2 if you have a question. Yeah, don't be forcing stuff. Yeah, it's bank holiday. Like, don't sit here glued to your 15 or your 1 or whatever it is. Just set some alerts and walk away. Your time is better spent on other things, especially when there's low volume in the market and there's this choppy kind of consolidation. There's not a whole lot in here, right? Ideally, we want to see something sweep to kind of fuel that move or take the opposing side out, so that the only place we can kind of magnetized to would be the direction in which we'd like to trade. So yeah, that's it. I will post this up shortly. Internet is back up and operational finally. Seems to have just been an issue with the router. So yeah, I will see you guys a little bit later on, sometime tomorrow. And yeah, look, I guess around 6:30 this evening, Eastern time, of course, to see the daily look ahead. And yeah, we'll see you guys tomorrow.